In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and God saw it was good.
Question. If evolution is true, and Genesis is really about a metaphysical or philosophical or theological point, it's not actually about the origin of death and suffering, because physical death and suffering was already present in an evolving world. Why did one more physical death, e.g. Jesus, make the slightest difference at all? You'll only find an answer to that question if you ask these three. Why does the Bible consider death as not natural? Why is death not good from Genesis through to Revelation, and why must it be destroyed? Genesis 1. Everything God made was very good. Don't blame him for Saddam Hussein or your current local politician. That's the point of the story, really. By the time you've gone a little further, Genesis 1, 2 and 3 tells you good includes no evil. Nobody was going to die. And it's very emphatic that the animals only ate plants. Now, if you want to argue that's a symbol of something, you will have to rack your brains to find out what it's a symbol of, except that the animals didn't eat plants. Of course, if that's the case, put in our modern terms, there was no struggle for existence. There was no survival of the fittest. There was no death of the unfit. But when Adam sinned, God cursed the ground. He sentenced Adam to a life of struggle and sorrow. He condemned Adam to return to the dust, physically dead. You want to put it in our terms? Struggle for existence, survival of the fittest, mutations, etc. began with judgment on sin, not with Genesis chapter 1 verses 1 to Genesis chapter 2, the last verse. God's creation was a good world. Now, of course, we're talking about Christianity tonight, which to many people is the New Testament. So let's ask this question as we begin to wind up the negative case. Is the New Testament use of good consistent with this Old Testament picture? God anointed Jesus. He went round doing good. And I'm sure most people, even non-churchgoers, could name some of the good things he did. He fed the hungry. He healed the sick. He gave sight to the blind. He stopped natural disasters. He raised the dead. Pretty impressive, actually. Problem. All of those things are actually integral parts of evolution. Hunger, disease, blindness, natural disasters and death. You see, survival of the fittest only works if all the others do what? Die. Interesting. Problem. What sort of a God would create using evolutionary processes and then call the world very good? Now, if you haven't answered that question, a rather famous Nobel-winning prize scientist by the name of Jacques Monod did. Broadcast by the Australian Broadcasting Commission, asked a question by a theistic evolutionist, someone who said God did use evolution. One could conceive of a God using randomness, just so long as there was a pattern which he was imposing upon the results of the chance mutations. Monod said, if you want to assume that, I've got no dispute except one which is not scientific but moral. Namely, selection is the blindest, cruelest way of evolving new species, more and more complex and refined organisms. In fact, he gets to the punchline. I'm surprised that a Christian would defend the idea that this is the process God more or less set up in order to have evolution. But he's only reflecting Darwin's point. Darwin's book was really about the struggle for life, not the pretty BBC David Attenborough Ain't Evolution Wonderful picture at all. In fact, compare the gospel promise concerning present-day struggle and suffering, which says this: I saw a new heavens and a new earth, for the first heaven and first earth were passed away. God will get rid of all tears. There'll be no more death, no more taxes, no more sorrow. Wow, what a promise. And there'll be no more curse. And the problem comes if you try and equate evolution with Genesis chapter 1 and 2 and 3, that the New Testament curse in Revelation only makes sense by reference to a literal reading of Genesis chapter 3. Now compare it with a theistic evolutionist gospel, because really here's what it's proclaiming. Faith in a Christ who creates using evolution, which is faith in a God who said he created all things good, when he really used eons of death and struggle. So he cannot be trusted to make a promised new and good creation, because his definition of good may well mean an eternity of death and struggle. So how would you know? That's a problem. In fact, if you haven't seen it, Charles Darwin's great-great-grandson did. I was here when he said that. I don't believe in God. How could I, given my great-great-grandfather's theories? Now, he wasn't talking about Buddha. He wasn't talking about Allah. He was talking about the Christian God. In fact, the chief conflict in the trying to mix evolution and Genesis and Christianity together comes in the teaching about goodness. Do you realise biblical goodness is only seen in creation before the fall? It's only seen in Jesus Christ, and it's only seen in the new heavens and the new earth. Dilemma. The biblical history of goodness finds no view, no place in any view of evolution. In fact, to be even blunter, theistic evolution, and I speak as someone who tried to make it work for many years, has no inherent Old Testament or New Testament biblical concept of goodness. In fact, to go one step further, of course my job is to put the negative case, so let me say this as kindly and gently, but I'm trying to make it very definitive. No version of evolution is compatible with faith in the Creator Jesus Christ, who alone defines the Christian faith. Science doesn't define the Christian faith. How much blunter can I get? Let me try and be very bold and gently as I can, because, you see, I had to say this to myself. To merge Christianity with evolution is really to invent a syncretic creator God that you're making up as you go. In fact, to go one step further, this God may very well reward you with ample peer review praise. But at the same time, the history of the church in England tells us that this God empties the churches and actually blinds people like Charles Darwin's great-grandson to the true creator God, Jesus Christ.